We have heard a line from our first reading today that says, obedience is better than sacrifice. I think the first reader highlighted that particular phrase. And in the gospel, we have heard an objection coming from the people. Why do the disciples of John and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast? Sisters and brothers, the reaction or the reply of Jesus towards that objection made by the people is not to be taken as something against the virtue of obedience. Such reply of Jesus is never contrary or a contradiction to that statement, obedience is better than sacrifice. The reaction of Jesus towards the people's objection concerning fasting is called a non-conformist way. This means that if Jesus conforms, abides, or follows, it is because he sees it as something, or it is good and reasonable to do so. And if he does not conform, it is because he thinks it is good and reasonable not to do so. But take note, all his decisions were taken from the point of view of what he believed to be in obedience to the will of God, nothing else. Meaning, what Jesus sees and thinks as something good and reasonable to do and not to do so, come from his sublime obedience to the will of the Father. And this should also be ours. This should be our case as well, to have a non-conformist way. We have to see to it that our actions and decisions have to be patterned from our obedience to God's will. In every decision we will be making, we take time to pray over it. We spend moments of balancing or weighing things up from what is good to what is better or best. And let us not forget that every well-discerned decision, any action that one wishes to accomplish, accompanied by faith, it almost always produces joy. It should bring happiness to oneself. That's why, if you have noticed, Jesus uses the image of a wedding banquet, because obedience to God's will or to God's command is truly better than sacrifice, because of the joy that it brings to one's life.